Friends, I welcome you to my channel. Before listening to the story, I will ask you to like and subscribe. It is not difficult for you, but it is pleasant for me. And we're starting. I never stopped loving her, even after I had my suspicions. A few strange things were happening that hadn't happened in all 15 years of our marriage, and my spidery senses became active. Her outfits and new look changed significantly when the new boss took over the office. Our sex life has suddenly changed for the better. Now she was really provoking me to make love, which she had never done before. More frequent text messages at night and late meetings after work were now commonplace. Of course, she had perfect excuses for everything, but for some reason my jealous nature was unhappy. I asked the private company not to tell me anything until the file is ready. I didn't want anything to change between us, and I prayed that I was just a paranoid husband. After 3 months of investigation, I was given a folder with news that I hoped would never come. After reviewing the video, audio, and photos, I told Mac, my lawyer, to file the divorce papers and have them ready for me by Wednesday afternoon. I planned to come on their date Thursday night while they thought I was out of town. I have planned a pleasant surprise for this couple. It still amazed me how she could have thought she could get away with it. Annie knows me better than anyone else. She knows how intuitive, strong-willed, and relentless I am. Damn it, she saw how ruthless I could be when I took over the company and ruthlessly destroyed my competitors. Now I own a controlling stake in a large transportation company. Truckers and truck drivers respect me very much and I treat them well. I know they'll cover for me if I ever need them. I've given Annie everything and always treated her like a queen, and she knows it. She tells her friends and family how wonderful I am and how embarrassing it is that I'm crazy about her. But she also tells them how much she likes it. That's why this question still haunts me, even during these last few hours. Why? Why would she risk everything she has for an affair? Did you have an affair with your boss for the sake of making love? Why? That was my most exciting question. Annie has always been a wonderful mother and wife, and it was really hard to understand. Making love was frequent and satisfying. I think not satisfying enough. She took care of the house and worked full-time as an executive assistant at a local technology company. To this day, I would never have thought that she could have had a lover. My name is Luciano Rossetti, and I have been Annie's husband for 15 years. We have 2 teenage daughters who still love their dad. I'm what you'd call an alpha male who doesn't take shit from anyone, but treats his wife like a special prize, which I knew she was. In our relationship, I let her take responsibility and feel strong up to a certain point. Thanks to genetics, I inherited my father's physical characteristics. My height is 2 meters, 120 kilograms of muscles, an impressive figure, but I am a gentle giant until I am provoked. Annie saw it a few times when we were walking together and she was being molested by some tough guys. Annie is a doll with big breasts, long charming legs, a thin waist, and an angelic face. Guys are always staring at her and flirting with her, which drives me crazy. One of my flaws is my sneaky jealous streak, which once activated is difficult to control. Over the years, I've learned to control my anger, but I haven't mastered this talent yet. Anyway, Annie has seen my jealousy flare up twice in the last 15 years, and she knows what I'm capable of. Twice when we were out, some assholes tried to ask her to dance after she had already told them that she was with me. Both times they didn't take no for an answer, and dragged her out of the booth while I was sitting there watching. They must have thought that because they were big tough guys, I would just sit back and let them take my wife away. A big mistake. The first time it happened was when we were walking, discussing our girls and having fun together. I was stunned when this guy had the audacity to grab her arm and pull her out of the booth. Before he took his first step onto the dance floor, I jumped out of my booth and got between him and my wife. With a quick movement, I dislocated his shoulder and pushed him into our booth, where he was writhing in pain. I took Annie and left the room. The other time it was the same, but that guy had a broken wrist and a concussion when we left the bar again. As I said, I don't take shit from anyone, and my biggest problem is jealousy, which again raises the question of this affair. Since she knows me, why would she do that? I've arranged everything. One of my assistants accompanied me and will hand over the folder when I am ready. I got there early and gave the hostess a good tip so that she would seat them in a more private place. My wonderful wife knew that I was out of town, and on the audio recording I heard her tell her boss that she was free Thursday night if he still wanted to meet. Of course, this idiot did so and excitedly said that he would plan everything. The PI agency installed software for me, which I had to add to Annie's phone in order to receive copies of her text messages and emails. The application also had the function of recording any audio and uploading it to a private server. That Monday, I received a copy of the message he sent to Annie, which indicated the time when he would pick her up, the restaurant where they had a reservation, and that she would dress nicely for him. I spat out of anger after reading this and how my future ex-wife behaved. How dare this guy pick up my wife at my house? In fact, my plan was simple. Let the lovers get comfortable with their first drink, and then suddenly appear. At this point, I began my speech, which ended with a small threat and unexpected divorce papers. My anger and thirst for revenge grew. Deep down, I knew Annie wouldn't want a divorce because she really loved me and the kids. I knew that what I was about to do would crush her and change her life forever. I didn't care, and I just wanted her to feel at least some of the pain she caused me. Now someone would say that I should be condescending and forget about it for the sake of the children and our 15-year marriage. After all, it was only a few times. Did I mention that I was an immature, jealous alpha male? There was no way in the world I was going to let some other man enter my wife and then keep her as my loving partner. No matter how much I loved her, and no matter how much it hurt, I knew I would never be able to look at her or touch her the way I used to. I had eyes and reinforcements on the scene, ready to warn me at the right moment. So, on Thursday evening, after receiving the news that the couple in love sat down and ordered drinks, I was ready to meet them face to face. I got out of the car, entered the restaurant, smiled at the hostess, took a deep breath, and, restraining my anger, began to implement my plan. The couple in love were sitting at their table, and my heart ached when I noticed that my beautiful wife was wearing a beautiful cocktail dress, and her perfect breasts were on display. It really pissed me off, as she had never dressed like that for me. Why? Why did she do this to me? I couldn't understand it. It didn't make any sense, and it was driving me crazy. Obviously, tonight she wanted to be his favorite and look attractive to her boyfriend, and that pissed me off. I approached them from the side and made my way to the table without their knowledge, because they were so romantically focused on each other. How sweet. It was only after I pushed my chair away from the next table that they noticed my movement. Annie's expression was priceless. There was a combination of shock, fear, and guilt in her gaze that I had never seen before. Her date had no idea what was going on and didn't realize that I was her husband. He just looked at me with an annoyed expression on his stupid face, and so it started. "Hi, Annie. Are you two having a fun date tonight?" I asked with a big smile. "Honey, what are you doing here? I thought you were out of town today. My boss Jeremy invited me to dinner to discuss some changes in the organization. Please join us." "Jeremy, this is my husband Luciano," she said in a loving and calm voice. God, she was so smooth. I had to admit that she was cool-headed and recovered quickly. The drink I had ordered before coming to the table arrived, and ignoring Annie's lies, I offered a toast. I ignored her question and said with a disarming smile, "Raise your glasses and join me in a little toast. Let's drink to an interesting night and a new direction." After my toast, I smiled and turned to her boss. "Jeremy, do you know why Annie and I were able to stay happily married for 15 years? Honesty and trust are as simple as that. Are you married, Jeremy?" Of course, I already knew everything about him from the report. "Yes, I've been married for 20 years, and I have 4 wonderful children between the ages of 5 and 13, and I agree with you, Luciano. Trust and honesty are also an important part of our marriage." "I'm so glad to hear that, Jeremy." "Annie, do you feel the same way too?" I asked, knowing that I was putting her in a difficult position. "Yes, dear, it was important for our marriage," she said confidently. After all, she had just said that they were just having a business dinner. She had no reason to feel guilty or nervous. "You see, Jeremy, we have an amazing marriage, and Annie knows how much I love her and will do anything for her as long as she remains faithful." I saw them both shiver slightly as I took another sip from my glass. I continued my game. "So, how long have you two been dating?" I asked casually with a wide smile. Annie was annoyed, tried to pull herself together, and protested, "Honey, this is a business meeting, and you're embarrassing me in front of my boss. Please stop pretending to be jealous. You know me better than that." Following Annie's example, her date took the opportunity to put me in my place. "Yes, Luciano, it's just a business dinner. I needed to discuss some changes that I was going to make, and I needed to meet with Annie tonight. I'm sorry if you misunderstood, my friend. I would never go beyond my professional relationship, especially with a married woman." I tried to look apologetic and said, "Oh, I'm sorry. So you've never gone on a date with my wife and this is just a business dinner?" "That's right, Luciano. Nothing is going on between us, my friend. Annie, is this true? Just a business meeting, and you've never been with him or on a date before? I asked a question that will determine our future. Honesty or lies? What was it supposed to be? Unfortunately, I had already anticipated the answer before she spoke. Only business meetings, dear. I would never be with another man, especially my own boss. And now please stop being childish. I'm sorry, Jeremy. My husband has a slight tendency to be jealous, but he knows how much I love him. I lowered my head, feigning submission, and said, Please forgive me. I'm sorry that I'm really a little jealous. I mean, seeing you in that dress with that handsome man, I hope you can understand me. Jeremy patted me on the back, clearly relieved that I'd been fooled, and said, Luciano, there's no need to apologize. If my wife looked just as good and was on a date with a stranger, well, I'm not sure what I would do. Everyone relaxed, and I raised my hand to the man watching us from the bar. He understood my signal and came over to the table. Everyone looked at him when he handed me a thick folder, turned around and left. I saw Annie and Jeremy look at each other questioningly as I opened the folder and began to arrange the photos on the table. Just before I put the first photo on the table, I turned to Annie and spoke in a low, sad voice. Annie, you know that I loved you with all my heart and would give you the whole world. You took my love and all the years of our marriage and threw it all away. You hurt me deeply, and I will never forget those videos and what you said about me on the recordings. I'll never be able to get them out of my head for the rest of my life. Thank you for that. The first 20 by 25 centimeters photo I posted showed Annie kneeling in front of Jeremy. The next was a photo of him squirting his liquid on her face, and then several where they were satisfied in different poses. Annie gasped and put her hands to her mouth. Jeremy was angry and wanted to know where I got these photos from, but I just told him to shut the fuck up. After I posted the photos, I took the time to review them and comment on each one. I was saying something like, Annie, you look so cool with his organ in your mouth. You look very happy in this photo. Did you like her? Annie was now openly sobbing and begging me to stop. The other tables were looking our way, and I tried to turn down the volume so as not to disturb the whole restaurant. Annie realized how bad it looked, and she had only one way out. I'm sorry, baby. Can we just leave and I'll explain what happened? In fact, this is not what it looks like. I looked at her with a surprised expression on my face and asked very slowly, Is this not what it looks like? Are you going to keep lying to me, scum? Before you do that, both of you should know that I have hours of videos, audio, text messages, emails, and photos. Annie, I have to say that after watching these videos, I never thought that you could be so slutty. You've never shared this side of yourself with me, and it hurts. I've spent a fortune in the last 3 months to get this information, and it's all legitimate. So, trust me, I understand everything. After putting away the documents, I said, Now let me explain why I'm here and what's going to happen tonight. Then I handed Annie the divorce papers and said, Annie, it's over between us. You and your boyfriend ruined our marriage and my love for you. You've hurt me like I've never felt before, and I'll never be with you again. So, you will sign this tonight, and my lawyer colleague, the notary, will certify your signature. If you don't sign up tonight, I'll show all the videos and audio to your parents, all our friends, and your kids will know what kind of mother you are. I treated you fairly in the divorce, but the girls will live with me. There's no way my daughters are going to live with a cheater like you. Jeremy, my friend, I suggest you convince your girlfriend to sign this before I leave. Otherwise, I'll give copies of all the evidence to your wife and your management team at work. When I'm done, you won't have a job, and I'll definitely persuade your wife, Sarah, to kick you out and ruin you financially for a very long time. Now, I don't want to do any of this, so just convince her to sign the divorce papers, and then my future ex-wife is completely at your disposal. I never want to have anything to do with this woman again. Those words struck a chord with her. The thought of losing her daughters was something else she couldn't accept. Tears were streaming down her face, and her boyfriend looked panicked. Annie begged me to stop and change my mind. She told me the usual nonsense. This is not what it looks like. Let me explain. I'll make it up to you. It was just a mistake. Please forgive me. Blah, blah, blah. She ended by saying, Luciano, I love you and I don't want this. Please give me another chance. Ignoring her pleas, I got up and said, I'm going to the men's room, and when I get back, I want the papers signed. If they are not signed, I promise that both of you will not be able to realize how much hell I will bring into your lives. I left Annie crying and her lover in a state of shock. I knew Jeremy would do everything in his power to get her to sign these papers to save his own ass. While I was gone, Jeremy spoke quickly. He knew that he would never allow his wife and his colleagues to see these videos and would do everything in his power to prevent this. He had to convince Annie to sign the papers. Annie, just sign them and then ask him to keep them for a week to give you a chance to talk. You need to convince him that you love him. Tell him you're going to therapy no matter what it takes, but make him wait a week. Tell him that this is the least he can do in 15 years of marriage for just one mistake. This is the only chance I see for you right now. I can tell he's not messing around, and if he has video and audio recordings, we're both screwed. I don't want a divorce, she screamed. Trust me, if you make him wait, I'm sure you can save your marriage. Think about the children. You don't want to lose the girls, do you? Tears welled up in my eyes again, and after a few minutes I returned to the table. Well, have you signed them yet? With the saddest face I've ever seen, she looked into my eyes and said, Honey, I'll do whatever you want, including signing these papers, but please give me a week before you do anything. Please let me go home with you and give me at least that much. After 15 years, please let me spend 1 week with my girls and talk. Please give me that much. I sat in silence and looked into her eyes for a long time, considering her request. I gave up and said, Even though you deserve shit from me for what you did, and for how you ruined our marriage because of that asshole, I'll give it to you. You can come home and you'll have a week before I hand over the documents to my lawyer. You will stay in one of the guest bedrooms. I don't want you anywhere near my bed at this time. Now sign them so I can get out of here. She signed the papers and I put them in a folder, then got up to leave. Before I left, I took her hand, and she smiled until she realized that I was taking off her wedding rings. I put them in my pocket and then took off the ring I had been wearing for 15 years. I picked it up while she was looking at it and casually dropped it into her wine glass. The expression on her face gave me only a little satisfaction, but when she started crying again, it made me smile a little because I knew she was starting to feel my pain. I turned to Jeremy and said, Well, asshole, she's your girlfriend. Do whatever you want with her. I'm leaving, but remember this, Jeremy. You satisfied my wife, ruined our marriage, and jeopardized so many things, including my children's love for their mother. Your ass is mine and your balls are in my hand. Don't mess with my head. You're lucky that I didn't fulfill my original plans for you. It's not over between us yet, ass cleaner. You'll hear from me soon. Understood? Jeremy nodded softly as I loomed over him. It looks like I may have ruined their plans for the evening. I wonder if they'll still want to sleep after I leave. When I was about to leave, Annie grabbed my hand and said, Luciano, can I please come home with you? I just want to be with you. You are welcome. I pulled my hands away, as if they had been touched with a red, hot iron, and said, Fuck you. I don't want to be seen with you. You're his today. I'll see you after he's done satisfying you, tonight or tomorrow. Anyway, it doesn't matter to me. You have 1 week. You disgust me, and I'm ashamed that I was your husband. Good. Yes, I was a jerk, but I really didn't care. It seemed to me that I was keeping my jealousy and anger in check. I was proud that I was able to suppress all the accumulated rage. I really gave her a week. Let's see how it happened. I heard her come home about an hour later that evening, and to her credit, she went straight to the guest room. She realized that there was no way I could talk to her in peace that night. We met the next morning in the kitchen when I came down for coffee. I was still in the mood for revenge, so I continued to pretend to be a dick and said, Good morning. How is my wife of easy virtue doing today? She cringed, looked down into her coffee, and said exactly the words that every cheating wife says when she gets caught cheating and wants to save her marriage. Honey, we need to talk. Look, we don't have anything to talk about, Annie. I know what you did. I know how long you've been doing this. I know everything you've told him about me and our marriage. I've seen you do things to him that you've never done to me. I saw how you dressed for him. I know it's bigger and better. I've heard it 100 times in your videos. You lied, hid, cheated, and made a fool of me. I can't believe you were so stupid. If I don't understand something, then we can talk. Otherwise, I have nothing to say. I'm the fool, not you. I do not know why I allowed this to happen. You've given me everything I've ever wanted, and I love you, no matter what you've heard in these videos. You should know, I never meant to hurt you, and I never wanted you to find out, she said with tears rolling down her face. That's my problem, Annie. You never wanted me to find out. You wanted to keep it a secret and keep lying and sleeping with your lover behind my back. That's the real problem, Annie. I can forgive infidelity, damn it. We are all human and we make mistakes. But it wasn't a mistake. You wanted this, and you wanted to keep it a secret and keep lying, cheating, and hiding your relationship. I love you, Annie. But as Tina Turner says, what does love have to do with it? My trust is lost, and I wonder if I ever really knew you. How many other men were there? How many times have you made love to your lover and returned to my bed full of his fluids? I'm so disgusted that I can barely speak. Sobbing, she now understood how I felt and realized what she had done. She had no objections or excuses, but she admitted her wrongdoing. Okay, I'm guilty, and I hate myself. I've never had anyone else, and no matter what I say, I know you can't forgive me for what I did. But I don't want to get divorced. I'll do whatever you want to stay in this with you. I think I need a consultation, and maybe we could go together to find out what's wrong with me. Please don't leave me. I was silent for a while and said, Annie, you can go to a psychologist, find out everything you need, and I will support you. But I can't live with a woman who can leave me so carelessly. Your actions and what you said told me about your true feelings, and I don't see how I can live with someone who feels that way about me. I know there are other women who would be more than happy to be with me. You had your chance, and you took it voluntarily. Enjoy your week here with the girls, and try to explain why you're leaving. I'm not going to belittle you, but you have to tell them that you're leaving and why. In the divorce agreement, I gave you full access to the girls anytime you want, but they will live with me. If you continue to be promiscuous and set a bad example for girls, I will make your visits much more difficult. Look, I will treat you better than you deserve and help you keep your relationship with the girls. But I have 2 questions that I would like to get answers to. Listen to my questions and think about them before you answer. My first question is why? Why did you risk everything for this? My second question is, was it worth it? I called Jeremy the following Monday and asked him to meet me for lunch on Wednesday. After convincing him how reasonable it would be to meet with me, I explained to Jeremy how upset I was that he had ruined my marriage and how close he was to getting kicked out. Then I explained that I had a better plan for him. During lunch, I explained how many people had suffered because he had seduced a married woman. I explained how I expected him to make amends. He was going to pay for Annie's rent and car payment for the next 3 years. I felt that he should be a little hurt for his actions. I explained how it would work. I will send you the payment information so that you can set up automatic payments. This is your punishment, and trust me, you'll get off easy. Even though I broke up with my wife, I still love her and want her to be taken care of. Since you are the one who caused this, you will fulfill my demands. This agreement will help Annie get back on her feet after I kick her out. I don't care how you do it, but if you don't finish it, I'll make sure that you lose your job and that Sarah finds out about your infidelity. As a side benefit, you stay alive. All this is because you had to seduce a married woman. Assholes like you should understand that your actions have consequences. Why not take care of single girls instead of destroying families? That was a really shitty move, Jeremy. I treated Annie well, allowed her to visit the children, and kept their relationship strong. We remained friends, but she never returned my respect or trust. Jeremy made these payments every month based on my threat hanging over his head. Annie has never been able to explain or answer these questions to my satisfaction. It was clear to her that her deception and lies were not worth it, and she regretted that she had done it, but she could not explain why. Now she lives alone, without a boyfriend, and without the love she once had. I could have destroyed her, but losing her family and my love was revenge enough. Even after her consultation, the answer to the question why still could not be explained. The best she could come up with at the moment was, I do not know why, it just happened. It had nothing to do with you or our marriage because I really love you, and I was happy with our lovemaking and our life together. But it was something new and exciting. I screwed up. I couldn't help myself. Annie, if you were happy, why would you dress up and wear such clothes for him? Why would you dress like that and do things for him that you've never done to me? Perhaps if you had made such an effort with me, we wouldn't be in this position. It just happened is not really the answer. You did it over and over again, and each time you dressed up to arouse him. But you're telling me that you loved me. I hope someday you can tell me why. I think you owe a lot to all of us. For us, husbands and boyfriends who have been cheated on, it seems like a mystery that cannot be solved. Thanks to these 2 cheating couples, I'm not sure I'll ever be able to trust or completely give myself to another woman again. It's sad, but a fact. Married partners should consider their actions and the consequences they inevitably entail. The path of destruction left behind is more significant and lasting than the excitement of sexual satisfaction. Talk to your partner. Either share each other's needs or end the relationship, but betrayal is a painful act with lasting consequences.